Good evening. My name's Brett Stalcup, and welcome to Choices Podcast at choicespodcastofficial.com. You can find us. You can also find us on the Facebook group Choices. We're here every Sunday or every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. Every
That's
Tuesday at
wishful
7
thinking
o'clock.
there, Brett. We should be there maybe not
Well,
Sunday, but more days of the week,
Yeah, there we
yeah,
go.
it's the right day for our topic.
Yeah.
right?
So we're here Tuesday at 7. We're about making better choices in all parts of your life, business, personal, relationship. And tonight we're going to have a special guest, which is going to be our producer, Mark Werner. He's cool. He has a big heart and he's very patient with us. And he is very passionate about our topic tonight, which is gratitude. So before we get going, our co-host, Carcass John, and our other co-host, the Reverend Dean
Hey,
Brewer. Yeah.
good to
Carcass,
be here.
take it, Carcass.
Yes, sir. Well, so our tradition is to have some sort of a lyric from a song, and lately I've been listening to the Allman Brothers. Don't ask me why. I got a collection of music, and I found this in a box of records that I had collected from somebody else, and it was in such good shape, and it was an original pressing on Capricorn Records. And I've just learned that the Allman Brothers, I missed the boat on them. They're really awesome. So anyway,
Oh, yeah.
so I found a song that I really like by them, and it's called Ain't Wastin' Time No More. And here's the first few lines. Last Sunday morning, the sunshine felt like rain. The week before, they all seemed the same. With the help of God and true friends, I've come to realize I still have two strong legs and even wings to fly.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
You like that?
Yeah.
Good.
But I love the Allman Brothers too, dude. That Peaches album.
Yeah.
That's money.
Yeah.
Look.
I like I said, I think they get lumped into the Southern rock thing, and there's Molly Hatchet and Leonard Skinner and Blackfoot and blah 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 blah. And but man, they're really awesome. They delve into other they could pretty much play any style of music, R&B, rock and roll, hard rock, jazz. There's all sorts of elements in there that are really cool. They have a warehouse of styles they can draw from. And Greg and Dwayne have been on hundreds of other releases. So I'm grateful that I just happened to stumble across and open this box full of records and find that one. And that has led me to this point with Ain't Wasting Time No More. So what do you think of that?
I think it's cool. What do you think, Reverend?
I love it. Whipping Post, was that one of their?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa, Whipping Post.
Well, Melissa, sweet Melissa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, good rock and roll. Reverend, tell us what you think about gratitude.
Well, man, it's key. It's huge, right? So
It
there's
is huge.
little quip, attitude of gratitude, man. To have the attitude of gratitude. And let me lay this on you. So good argument that attitude, not aptitude, determines altitude.
Wow.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of layers there.
Yeah. Hey, give me somebody with a great attitude. I'll probably take them over somebody that's a little smarter than them.
You know what? When I was coaching select league baseball, I liked the kids that, it's hard to teach attitude. And it's hard to teach someone who's humble enough to thank you for helping them get better, whether you're a mentor or a coach or whatever. And I loved coaching the kids that had an enthusiasm for the game, and they were there for the love of the game, not because they were good at the game, if you know what I mean. So to your point, you can't teach enthusiasm. You just sort of have that spark or not. And
yeah, and who do you want to be? Who do you want to hang around? I mean, give me somebody that's gracious, somebody that has an attitude of gratitude. The others, that don't have that, quite frankly, they tend to drain you a bit. But you take the people that have an attitude of gratitude, they pour into you. That's who I want to hang out with.
Me too. What do you think, Mark? Welcome to the show you produce. We're glad you're here, all the way from Michigan.
Yeah, gratitude's Denny, gratitude's it comes with a heavy heart sometimes, and it's a heavy word. When you think about gratitude, I wonder if a lot of people don't understand what the word really is. They understand it's thanks, then they give thanks, right? But to really understand the word, it has to come in from inside, and before it gets here, it's got to come from up here. You have to own it. You have to know it. And it's unfortunate that in this life, this human life that we live, there are people that the only way they understand gratitude is when something bad happens to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Addiction.
And then they understand it, but the minute it's back together, back to normalcy, forget about gratitude. So they forget about being humble about it, owning it, and living it. And I don't know if John can contest to this for knowing me for several years, but that is how I live. I have a motto. It's live life, don't let life live you. And there's no reason. I have no time for nobody that has no time to live. If you got time to live and you got an ear to hear and you've got a mouth to speak, I'll listen. And it goes both ways. And I'm very humble about it. But, you have this one life to live. And why can't we enjoy it and be humble and gratitude about it? It's here. You only get one chance.
Absolutely.
So that's my gratitude. That's how I live my life. And I don't know if it's just who I am as a human being or a post-cancer patient, type thing, or if it's just because that's just where my heart's been all my life.
It doesn't matter. It's all good. You're passionate about living your life.
And Mark, let me just throw this out. I mean, don't you think that gratitude is kind of a first cousin of joy? You hear a lot of people talking about, man, I just want to be happy. Well, you know what? That's not going to be the case all the time. I mean, we're going to have some happy moments, but give me joy. I mean, joy's a lot deeper, man, than happiness.
Yeah, you're right.
And
happiness is temporary. Joy is eternal.
Yes.
And it takes a greater depth of gratitude and understanding to find joy. And but it's a choice, and it can be done no matter what your circumstances. It kind of cracks me up. You kind of stand people up when you go into the store and they say, "Hey, sir, you having a good day?" Well, of course I'm having a good day. It's a choice. I could have a crappy day, but who would want to decide to do that? I'm going to have a good day, or at least I'm going to try. So
it's good.
We're right there, guys. Listen. So in the recovery world, it's all about gratefulness, being grateful for your sobriety for that day, one day at a time. When you look into the future, you feel fear. When you look in the past, you feel guilt. That's the reason if you look at one day, the day you're living, and you're grateful for that day of living, you'll find joy.
Amen.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, there's no all at once in anything. It takes baby steps.
Yes. What are they? Let's get specific. We're all about the love, and we're floating around in the clouds, but let's get specific. How can you show gratitude? 3 things. Mark, give me one.
Inspire others.
Dude, that's a lot in
inspiration, though.
Looking dead red, Brett, and he hit that one out of the park.
Yeah, he did.
If there is one thing, if I could sum it in this way, when Brett called me months ago about doing a podcast, and we were trying to come up with a name. The interesting thing about our conversation, the word choices came up, because how I've lived my life and how I've helped save veterans from suicide over the years is by choices. Because I always describe the situation of when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that you do when you ground yourself? Well, you put your feet on the ground, and you have a choice right then and there to make a decision. Good day, bad day, be angry, be happy, be sad, be joyful. Those are the decisions. Whatever happens after that is all up to you. And so inspiration is if you can get up and be happy and be joyful and be thankful for what you have, not for what you want and not for what you would like to have, not because you're either greedy or you're not. You're just trying to achieve things that you'd like to have a little bit more happiness. Material things don't make you happy. You make you happy. That's the end. It's not this person in front of you. That helps. That's a bonus. But you have to be happy with yourself. So inspiration, if you can be inspired by yourself, then I think you can inspire others.
Wow. What do you think, Reverend?
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. This is it's kind of a practical thing, but I think this goes towards gratitude, to express gratitude to other people. I mean, to say it. You know, a lot of times you think, yeah, man, I'm so thankful for, hey, you know, my relationship with Brett. I'm so thankful for Sude, my wife, you know, that she will tell her, you know, maybe write a little note. We've kind of lost the art too, I think, of, you know, writing little notes. I mean, you know, it can just take you 2 minutes, but just to send a little note out that said, man, hey, I just want to thank you for what you mean in my life. And I tell you, when I get one of those occasionally, it makes me feel really good. And it does inspire me. It inspires me to maybe be a little nicer to the next person I come in contact with.
I agree. It's not all about giving money out. You know,
No.
you gotta be careful about who you're giving money to. Uh, there's some great places to put money, like Florida. God bless all those people that got slammed with the hurricane. And you're sitting
Yeah.
there going, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? Well, I think Red Cross is one of the best places to give. Do you guys have any other suggestions?
Well, just like during Katrina, I mean, we had a church group go down there and say, "We're going to help you. We're going to physically help you clean up the mess." And they were very, very gracious. They were stunned that people would drive 8 hours and go down to the hood basically and help those people out. I had this experience in Houston where uh, it, everyone that knows Houston, Texas, knows that the Fifth Ward is notorious as far as being a dangerous neighborhood, let's just say, or more dangerous than most. And when they got flooded out, we did the same thing as a church, as a group. We huddled up at church on Sunday and we went down there because they had a need. And we went down there and people were just shaking their heads going, wow, you're not just here handing out checks. You're here getting your hands dirty and
Yeah.
you're moving stuff out. In fact, what became even more interesting is uh, there's a huge hip hop and rap scene down in Houston. The Gulf Coast hip hop music scene is huge. And some of those people that have, some of those artists that have really succeeded and have moved away from the hood came back. And, you know, there were a lot of Bentleys and Mercedes and nice cars driving up there, willing to get their hands dirty to come back and help their people in their old neighborhood. And I just thought, you know what? It says in James that pure religion is service to your fellow man. I can't think of anything greater than getting down there and helping them physically and just showing them a common courtesy. I mean, we're like the song said, with others around us, we recognize that we have two strong legs and wings to fly. I mean, some of us are blessed beyond our ability to understand how blessed we are. And in sharing that, I think I think we grow. We help others too
Yeah.
in growing.
I'm grateful that we have a family today. I mean, that family of 11 that died in that mudslide in North Carolina, that was atrocious. I mean, they're all gone, man.
It's horrible.
I like, you know what? I want to stay with being specific ways to show gratitude. So we have inspire others, We have writing notes. I love that. We have physically going to help your fellow man when they're in turmoil or when they're in, disaster zone. You remember somebody came on, one of our guests said, uh, every morning make 3 contact calls.
Yeah, I love that. Love
I
that.
like that too.
I do
Yeah.
that, and it freaks people out a little bit.
It does. I've done it. Have y'all done that?
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it. I fell off a little. I started
Yeah.
strong, and that's the challenge, to keep those things going.
But don't you
And,
think
and, and
that's a neat way? That's a
but
neat way to show gratitude.
yeah, and and it doesn't just have to be writing the note. I mean, I think that's kind of a cool thing because it's a lost art.
Yeah.
But also it's expressing it. You know, I, I'll never cease to be amazed when I have somebody tell me, my dad never told me he loved me. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, how horrible is that? I mean, express yourself. Tell your kids you love them. Do it on a regular basis, right?
I had the same
And
father.
And
huh?
some of us,
I had the same father. I think he showed me love by introducing me to do things and talking to me, but never speaking it.
And how did that make you feel, Mark?
I feel like there are times I'm like my father because he taught me to forget.
and I tell you what, fellas,
Unfortunate.
one day you
Yeah.
could get a phone call, and you may not have that opportunity to tell that person that you love them. And I always made it a point to at least tell my kids and my significant other that how I felt about them. And in fact, I keep harkening back as the year winds down, because at the end of December it's a hard few days down there, because I lost my son on the 28th of December, and for no apparent reason, according to the coroner's report. And I know I have a fair inkling of what's going to happen, that I'll be able to see him again at some point in time. But still, there's a major bit of loss. But I remember the last conversation I had with him, and I told him, I said, "I love you, son. I can't wait to hang out with you and see you again." And he said, "I love you too, Dad." And that was the last conversation we had. Now, if I'd have been mad at him, or if I'd have said some things that I shouldn't have to him, then I carry that guilt with me. But see, the thing is you never know. Our timeline is not. Our timeline has. We can plan for the future. We can plan for tomorrow. We can plan for right now. But man, nothing's guaranteed. And so, to your point, we got to live for the now. We have to look at what we got right in front of us,
And be grateful.
and be
Be
grateful.
grateful.
And at the same time, when you talk about love, I mean, I'd hasten to add that I love to say, that love is a verb. I mean, you got to put it into action. But man, you don't leave out the expression part too. Talk can be cheap, but I think we don't get real enough with the people that are close to us that we love. And I mean, in my family, I will say kudos to my parents. I mean, I heard that affirmation a lot, and I never doubted that I was loved by my parents. But a lot of people don't get that, and it can become trite too, right? I mean, hey, love you, bro. But I mean, where you genuinely have a loving relationship with somebody, don't make them guess about it. Let them know it.
Isn't that the same though goes for those of us that are married and have a significant other in our life too? When you say thank you, it's just the or I love you. It's the 3 little words. It's so easy to say it, but do you really mean it? I don't, we've been married 26 years. I don't remember and recall what year it was, whether it was 5 years or 7 years or the first year. But we made a conscious decision together to do 2 things for the rest of our lives. One was we never go to bed angry, ever. And we have yet to do that in 26 years. We might get mad, we might get frustrated, but the strike midnight, boom, we love each other. But we also say never take it for granted that we say I love you. And when you say it, you mean it, and you look each other in the eye, even if it's for a split millisecond. It's enough to say, I love you, turn, move, keep going. But you say it and mean it.
It's good, Mark. You're preaching
That's
now.
good.
Well,
Preach.
when there's things that, some people say it's happy wife, happy life. No, listen, there's so many veterans that I learned a lot of gratitude over the years. But the one thing that I always learned is from these guys is you got to be the inspiration. You got to believe. You got to have the heart for it. But you got to be able to say thank you. You got to be able to have that gratitude. You got to understand what that means. And then when you're talking with someone and you're sharing the information that is a resource that's probably going to guide that person down a different path, hopefully, even if it's for a minute or for 5 minutes, but at least you're guiding. You're given some kind of form of information that they may be able to take a path to the righteous. The reality is that when you're talking with someone and you're saying the words, if you don't feel it and you don't know what you're saying, then how are you going to be that inspiration? How are you truly going to get them to believe that they can make a change?
I think that's great. That's great. I'm going to stop you there, Mark. Effective listening is the best type of listening you can do. And that's where you focus in on somebody's eyeballs when they're talking. You block everything else out and you listen to them effectively, where you can almost like feel it when they say it.
Huge. That's huge, Brett.
It is. And it takes effective listening takes practice.
No doubt.
You just can't, it's a muscle. You just can't say, I'm going to be an effective listener. Right. So I have to do that because I get a little ADHD. I have to, when someone really talks to me, I really try to listen into them. And if you read, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, one of the best books ever written, he'll tell you, when you're listening to somebody, it's not about you. It's about them. And once you learn that principle, you saved yourself a lot of misery trying to figure things out. It is.
You know what, Brett, to your point, I think that as we have effective listening, we get to know that person. And so when they do need something that we kind of already know, because there's a disturbance in the force or something's not right about them, that, I mean, you obviously knew that I was not happy today before the show. You knew something had gone on that had thrown me off kilter a little bit because you know me well enough. And so we sorted through it. It was easy. It was just a rough day. We all have them. It's no big deal. I love coming to these learning opportunities. And when I say, this is our podcast, well, this is my learning opportunity and my way to put it all behind. It's kind of like going to church. It's all left at the door back there, and we're in a safe space to talk about whatever.
If somebody was to ask us what our podcast is about, my response would be, it's a modern day group therapy for anybody that wants to participate, because we're all learning at every show.
We better be.
We are.
I mean, every day when we stop learning, we might as well check out.
But every Tuesday, I'm excited because what am I going to learn? I'm going to learn something.
And Brett, I'll tell you when it really hit me about how unusual, atypical being a great listener is. Go try a lawsuit.
Woo.
And think about it. You gotta be thinking every minute. You got to be listening. Yeah, I should not say. Hopefully, you're thinking. You got to be listening. You got to listen to what that witness says. You got to listen to what opposing counsel says. They get up, object. if you start daydreaming for 10
You're
seconds,
done.
you're
Done.
done. And so,
Done.
you know, after a day of that, you're whipped. And I'll tell you the reason you're whipped is because in the normal course of the day, we daydream all the time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we'll take a little mental break. So listening is an art that we can all learn, but you have to
It's
work at it.
it's you know, you're right, because listening to a witness, you get trained on focused in. Baby Leah asked me, I told her, I said, you know what a trial's like? She said, I'm a little nervous. I said, well, let me tell you something. You don't need to be, because the minute we start, we're focused every minute until we leave that day.
Right.
We're never tired. We don't yawn. We don't take a break, and you don't quit. You're in battle, and you fight, and you fight until that jury comes back and gives you that wonderful news that you're looking for, hopefully.
Yeah.
But, you know, that cost me a little bit on my first marriage, because I was so trained. I was trying so many cases when I was a prosecutor. I was trained to go ahead when she'd start talking. I would go ahead of her and know where she was going and just stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was I take ownership in that. But you know, when I went through group therapy, 7 years of good therapy, you know, I got Sync, and Sync is the best. Every time she talks to me or my kids or her sister, or she tells everyone that she loves them. Her dad did that. He called me in the middle of the day. The little Greek man. I love you, sweetheart. It made my day, you know.
Yeah.
And he knew I was taking care of his baby girl. But I think the takeaway from what I'm hearing you guys say is we really got to be living in the moment,
Yeah.
living one day at a time, not looking at the future, not looking behind us, but living in the moment, like Mark said, with inspiration and inspiring others. However, we can do that.
It's good. And you know, and we benefit from that. I mean, you do it hopefully for those people that you're in contact with, but it always comes back and it
Ah,
benefits us, right?
I got it. How about this? It's always good to put your heart out there. But how about when you put your heart out there and somebody stomps on it? When you try to show gratitude and they spit in your face, or they lie to you, or
Well, that's when you slug them right smack in the nut. No, I'm kidding.
he's got
Yeah,
Wow.
some.
that's yeah, that's where
Eddie,
that's
Y'all
where
try
I
it.
was like,
that's where the
yeah,
work
that's what
comes
I'm
in.
talking
Yes.
about.
Yeah,
What
that's
do you
tough,
do?
isn't it? I mean, let's just be frank, man. I mean,
Do you stop
that's
giving?
tough.
Do you
Huh?
start being grateful?
I mean, you try.
I
I
think you
don't.
wake up. Why do you
No.
do, Mark?
You
What?
keep going. It. I can tell you how many conversations that I've had where you said something about them listening, and I remember this one guy, this one veteran friend of mine that I couldn't never get him to listen. And one day, Kim and I were happened to be at an event, and he came over and said to us, he said, "I'm so glad you guys called. This would have probably been my last night." We didn't
Mm.
take it for anything other than we knew right then and there, oh my God, he needed some help. And we said the first thing to him is, you got to listen to us. We're not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to guide you on how to help you. And listening was the biggest thing. And I don't know, he shut the door so many times, but like Denny said, I want to smack him, but at the same time, I think I smacked him in the back of the head virtually. But each time I just went to him and just said, "Thank you, appreciate it," and he eventually came around. But it was hard. There's times when it was just like I kept telling Kim, "What am I doing? This guy is not listening. I mean, he may not be here tomorrow, and I don't want him to be. I don't want to be gone. There's no reason for him to go. There's a lot of things for him to reason to be here, but he keeps trying to find the exit, and I'm not sure I'm getting through to him. And It finally, I don't know what rock he hit, but he finally hit the rock. And then it was like, thank God it was worth it. I mean, it is if you give gratitude the right way, it really is.
So here's my opinion on this. I've helped people in recovery for a long time, 35 years. I've seen the miracles. I've been part of the miracles. I've been part of the failures, but, and I lose 2 or 3 a year. You give me somebody that is just flat on the road and that barely can lift a hand, and you help them up, you knock the dirt off their tail, you throw them back in, you help them get recovery, and they're grateful, and their gratitude, and they're humble. You give me a recovered dude or dudette, and I'll take them over the smart dude any day of the week. Because once they get that obsessive compulsive behavior going the right direction, they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Unstoppable, man. They are. And so I think that's why it's worth it not to stop.
Amen.
We got to stay grateful every day.
So the interesting thing about grateful sometimes, when I say inspire, and I know it's a broad word, but there's an interesting aspect to the gratitude process. It's being humble, live your life, enjoy your life, be joyful, be appreciative of the things you have. But more importantly, it's, if we could just focus in the moment and stop focusing so much on the past and try to stop focusing so much in the future and focus on what you can control, which is your life right there in front of you. And when you can do that, exactly. When you can do that, guess what happens? Everybody around you starts to do it too.
No doubt.
Yeah. And
it's
it starts
contagious,
with
isn't it? Because that negative attitude is contagious.
Yeah, it is. That bad apple theory.
Yeah. There's an old great pastor, J. Don George, not with us any longer. And he had this term, it's a little crass, but, called it stinking thinking. And we can control that. Our minds, when we start going there, we capture that thought, put it away, get it out of our heads.
Scat. That's what the Bible says. Tell the devil to scat.
Yeah.
Scat. When somebody from Facebook comes in that and they start, hey, what are you doing now? Hey, scat. Don't even enter into it. It's not worth it. Or somebody hacks in your messenger and says, hey, honey, what are you doing today? Scat. Or one of those places, the big place now is the massage parlors, the Eastern massage parlors, Guys go in there and they get the nice massage with the nice finish. Stay away from them, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know better.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Don't eat the cheese. That's going to be our slogan today. Don't eat the cheese.
You talking about the cheese that's in that trap that snaps on your neck?
Yes.
Takes you out?
Yeah. Don't eat the cheese, man.
Yeah.
I have a little rat. You've seen it, Denny. It's on my computer. I have a little rat that just reminds me every day, every minute, don't eat the cheese. Just don't eat the cheese.
I like that. I haven't noticed that, actually. I'm surprised I haven't.
That could be our first Choices t-shirt. Choices.
Yeah.
Official.com. Don't eat the cheese.
Don't eat the cheese.
Hey, I haven't heard worse. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Mark's talking to me about us doing our shirts and putting everything on the website. We're growing fast enough to do that. People ask. I think it's time that we start doing something on our website.
Absolutely. Yeah. There'll be some hoodies and shirts and beanies being made
All
soon.
right. Closing. Last minute. Carcass. finish up. What you want to say?
I think part of being gracious to others is being courteous. And I think that helps us build confidence not only in ourselves, but it shocks people in an unobtrusive way. We don't have to go running up to people and say, "What can I do to help you?" Or "I know you need my help and I'm here to help." Hold the door. Say hello. Get your head up. Keep your head on a swivel. Shake hands. I mean, you can be you can be courteous. I think courtesy is something it's a lost art, kind of like writing notes. And so, and I think that we have no idea, like Mark said, that one day something just clicked in this veteran guy. I don't think we appreciate the effect that we can have on somebody, that one day it just clicks and they'll say, "I remember that day that guy held the door for me." And I just thought, man, I guess there's actual humanity on the earth still. It may be something as that subtle, but you never know. So you just keep doing the right things and good things will happen. I truly believe that.
I agree. Reverend?
Well, I'll throw in random acts of kindness. It's a theme of America's Mighty Warriors, a great organization I'm a part of. And America's Mighty Warriors believes in doing random acts of kindness. Sometimes it's helping out financially, but really it's the little things. It's the person behind you in line, pay for their coffee. As Carcass says, man, open the door for somebody. Just those little things that can totally change a person's attitude for the day.
That's awesome. Mark?
Well, I think I'm going to have to go with the word communication, because communicating is a huge priority in our life. We talk, we listen, but I think communicating with others, tell them what you want, listen to what they want, talking back and forth. I think it's a two-way street. Gratitude can be this broad word. It can be this really bad word, depending on which way you take it. But if you don't communicate, I think communication takes you which path you go.
Yeah, and I like the effective listening aspect of what we talked about tonight. And the reason I say that is there's so much going at me a lot during the day, and sometimes I just let it bounce off, and I'm like, and I want to start listening to everybody when they come in my office more effectively, and not saying a word, but just really listening. I think that's important.
That's good.
So, anyways, you guys are awesome. I think we've had a great show. I'm biased though. I think we always have a great show. Mark, you're a great guest. You do so much to help all of our mighty warriors in holding their hands and helping them get back on their feet. You should be proud of your ministry.
Yeah.
You too, Reverend. You should be proud of your ministry. You always got words of wisdom. We love you. And Carcass, you bring such personality to the show.
Well, thank you, Brett. I feel sometimes like the odd man out, but I'm really not.
No, not at all. You got a heart of gold, dude.
I think that we, as when I worked in the cemetery business, I was in East Texas, and there's some hard feelings between races and so forth and people out there. Man. And I used to tell them the same thing. We're all the same color inside, and we're all God's children, period, end of story. And we would have to treat each other with humanity. Doesn't matter who you are, what you are, whatever. We all made one good choice to be here, and doggone it, we have different personalities, that's for sure. But I think we're focused on the important things, and that's what really matters.
I want to take this moment to tell each of you I love you, and I consider you guys brothers. I appreciate everything y'all have done to help us get this podcast rolling, and I'm glad you guys are my friend.
Thank you, Brett. Love you guys.
Love you guys. And with that
love
said,
you too, Brett and Rev and Mark.
Thank you.
Got a lot of water under the bridge here. It's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Love it. Love this many things. Love you guys.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good week.